Tobacco is one of the most loved notes in men's perfumery. It is a note that evokes masculinity, edge, character, distinction with your fragrance. Tobacco can be a material that has a variety of scents to it. It's multifaceted and can give different effects. You can get smoky, ashy tobacco in fragrances like Red Tobacco by Mancera, or you can get smooth, warm, inviting tobaccos like in fragrances like Parfum de Marly's Herod. Tobacco is a really loved note in the community, and I can see why. And with our own release, Mr. Mesmeric, which is a tobacco-based fragrance coming out or is available to pre-order now by the time you're watching this, I thought we would cover some of the biggest fragrances that have the note of tobacco in the industry, going from the affordable options all the way to very expensive options. The last fragrance on this list is worth over £300, so make sure you stick around for that, guys. This is a beloved note for a good reason. Let's begin this video. Our own brand's next release will be a mature man's creative date night scent that focuses on notes of whiskey, tobacco, and is a vanilla-based fougere fragrance. And that is our very own Mr. Mesmeric. Mr. Mesmeric will be available for 200 bottles only for pre-order from the 30th of September to the 4th of October. If you guys want to make sure you don't miss out, click the link in the description below to sign up for notifications or to make your purchase of Mr. Mesmeric depending on when you're watching this. And throughout this video, guys, you're going to see the Fragrantica ratings on the screen as we're discussing them. These are some of the most loved fragrances in the industry containing the notes of tobacco. We have a variety of styles here, but I'm going to give you two honorable mentions. Honorable mention number one is Alexandria Hafez 1984. A lot of people compare this to Red Tobacco, but I think this is better. It's much better value for money as well. It's one of my most complimented fragrances of all time. This is a fantastic tobacco scent that combines the ashy, smoky tobacco with like a cigarette, let's say, that's very sexy though at the same time with the spices, the boozy notes, the vanilla, that rounds it all out. It's a really great fragrance, a great head turner. And also I'll mention Montabaco Intensivo by Ormonde Jayne. This is a really creative use of tobacco. It's more fresh, aromatic, calming with that tea note. It's a very multifaceted fragrance that uses tobacco super creatively. It's just a very creative scent in general, performs fantastically. A masterpiece scent. These two scents are fantastic. They're both 10 out of 10s in my opinion, but they're not usually the most discussed tobacco fragrances in the community. So let's get to the main list. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. Dolce&Gabbana, the One Eau de Parfum. This is a classic in the community for good reason. This is masculinity in a bottle, but in a really safe, sexy way. It uses tobacco really cleverly. It's very smooth, not challenging. It sort of has that middle ground between a smooth and a sharp, smoky tobacco. It's romantic overall. I would say this is a smooth fragrance. It's got cardamom, beautiful ambers in here, the tobacco, of course, ginger to add some sharpness in there. This is a timeless DNA because it's beautifully balanced, very natural, and very soft and inviting, very easy to love. And that's probably why it doesn't have the best performance. People complain about the performance, although I still get at least 6 hours from the One Eau de Parfum, honestly, with a soft to medium projection. I think this is just date night perfect. It's very date night appropriate, a beautiful evening scent. Don't bother with the Eau de Toilette or any of the other flankers really in my opinion. I know the Luminous Night and Royal Night flankers used to be great, but I don't think they exist anymore. So for me, the One Eau de Parfum easily beats the rest of the competition in the flankers. It does have limited performance. I would say this is a 9 out of 10. It pretty much gets everything perfect. You can use this all year round. It's sexy. It's just that longevity is a little bit lackluster for most people, but for me, it's actually pretty good, but I would still give this a 9 out of 10. This is very close to being perfect. So get this if you're a beginner in tobacco perfumery, you want your first safe tobacco-based scent. This is a very easy choice for you. Guerlain's L'Homme Idéal Extreme. This is a fragrance that's existed for many years. It didn't get the initial hype because L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum kind of always overtook it in the online community, but I think nowadays Extreme is getting more appreciation and hype, especially because reviewers like myself keeps hyping it up. I think it's still my favorite flanker to this day of the L'Homme Idéal line, but I think L'Homme Idéal Parfum might be better. It's getting a lot of good reviews and apparently smells very similar to this, but L'Homme Idéal Extreme, again, similar to the One Eau de Parfum, it has a very balanced tobacco in here. It rides the balance between a smoky, ashy tobacco and a smooth tobacco. Although I will say this goes a little bit more ashy. The tobacco is a little bit more adventurous here, but still a safe fragrance overall. But this smells a bit more niche, a bit more interesting compared to something like the One Eau de Parfum, which feels very safe. This goes a little bit more bold, really interesting notes like almond, plum. It smells like a cherry Coca-Cola boozy, ambery fragrance overall. It has the tobacco in here as well, of course. I think it has leather in here. All very much supporting character notes that just all help each other out. I don't feel like any one particular note in Idéal Extreme overpowers the others. It's all very balanced, very nicely done. I think it's a beautiful blend. If you want a more interesting tobacco scent, you go for this. You kind of upgrade from your beginner tobacco-friendly fragrance to Idéal Extreme. Perfect day-night fragrance all year round pretty much. Maybe not in the summertime, go easy on the trigger in the summertime, but it's got great wearability as well. Limited performance, 6 hours with a soft to medium projection. I think it used to be a stronger scent before it got reformulated in these new bottles. I also give this a 9 out of 10. This is almost perfect also. A fantastic scent. I think it deserves all the praise. And then we kind of jump the price tags to the niche level fragrances here. Here's my 30 ml of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. This had to be in today's list because this is one of the most popular, most legendary tobacco fragrances of all time. It's very popular. Maybe Tom Ford's most best-selling fragrance, maybe that's Oud Wood, but it's probably up there. So as the name suggests, Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille is tobacco and vanilla. The smoky, ashy tobacco that you get here is balanced by a warm vanilla. I think this is a smooth fragrance overall, but I do think the tobacco actually is a smoky tobacco, but it's the other notes that smooth it out, not necessarily a smooth tobacco is being used here inherently. So I think it's the gourmand aspects, the fruity notes, the powdery. I think cinnamon is in here, it's very spicy, very warm with that vanilla and sweet. It smells like a gourmand that has a lot of class and character. This is a head-turning special occasion scent that doesn't scream off your skin. I would say this is a medium projecting fragrance with 10 hours longevity. I think this is a legendary fragrance. I would have given this maybe a 10 out of 10, but I don't know. I kind of got annoyed that a clone fragrance is like Al Haramain's Amber Tobacco Edition got it so close. Both me and Sam Mason, when we did that Perfumer Reviews Clone Fragrances video, both agreed they're super similar.
I gotta say, these two are like
extremely
extremely
difficult. Yeah.
hard to tell.
They actually got us so close with that clone. So I will say Tobacco Vanille, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because it's probably a tiny bit overpriced, but overall it's a legendary scent. If you want to go upper class, you want to go really special occasion, really fancy tobacco, this is the fragrance to do it, especially if you're a beginner in niche. This is one of the legendary greats to check out. And now here I have my little sample of Parfum de Marly's Herod. I think this is my third sample from this fragrance now. And this fragrance, I always have a funny relationship with it. I think it's good, but I think it's overrated personally. This is a very smooth, edible, gourmand tobacco is how I would describe this. A very, very smooth, lovable, cozy, cuddly tobacco. Good quality tobacco, very smooth tobacco, probably a tobacco leaf they're using here, not a smoky, ashy tobacco that is mixed with a lot of vanilla and a lot of cinnamon in here. This has a similar idea to something that I think already made this at a much better price with fragrances like 1 Million's Privé, which is discontinued, and Zara's Rich Warm Addictive. Fair enough, I believe those fragrances are now discontinued, but I feel like this has already been done. Some people accuse PDM of being too designer-esque. By some people, I mean myself. But I think Herod is a little bit too designer-esque, but those fragrances are discontinued. I think it's a great scent, it's great smelling. I don't think it's overrated in the same way like Pegasus is. I think Pegasus, the original, is a 7 out of 10. This I'll give an 8 out of 10, just because it's simplistic, but easy to love. Kind of in a similar vein to something like Altier. Simple, easy to love. Big warm vanilla in here. This is probably a soft to medium projecting fragrance, maybe with 8 to 10 hours longevity, so it's a good performer. Try this first. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think it definitely will get you compliments. I think it's an easy to love fragrance, but I personally will give this an 8 out of 10. It's not Parfum de Marly's best, not necessarily exactly my style of tobacco, but I think it's great. I can see why people love this. I just remember those other fragrances that did it at a much cheaper price. That kind of puts a damper on this fragrance for me. I've never really loved it so much as other people have, but I think it's still a solid scent. So go for this if you want a date night, seductive, super sexy tobacco. Xerjoff's Naxos. Now, Naxos is special. I think this was the first fragrance I ever tried from Xerjoff because it got so much hype, and I'm glad I did. I think this should be everyone's first fragrance to try from this brand. Naxos is a masterpiece. Honey, amber, lavender, tonka bean, smooth tobacco here. They've definitely used a very high quality tobacco, but it's very smooth. It blends in with everything. Nothing feels too harsh or spiky or standing out too much from this blend. I think it's super smooth. It smells like it's price tag. It smells like money. It smells super luxurious. At the same time, very balanced, which is great about Naxos. This is a special occasion scent that will never be too cloying. You might get annoyed by something that's too gourmand-esque, like Tobacco Vanille, which is very sweet, powdery, intense. This gets the balance just right. I think it's a 3 out of 4 seasons fragrance. Great longevity, 10 hours with a medium projection. Special occasion scent as well. If you want to smell like money, if you want expensive tobacco, but one that isn't the complete, you know, spotlight, not the complete star of the show, that's balanced and put in together with everything else, Naxos is for you. I think this is a masterpiece, an easy 10 out of 10. And lastly is another sample I have here from a fragrance that really shocked me. I had this sample for a long time, but I actually only tried it recently for this video in preparation. And this fragrance here is Amouage's Opus 14 Royal Tobacco, which is over £300 for a full bottle. Now, is it worth that price tag? Let me talk about this fragrance. This fragrance shocked me. As soon as you apply it, it screams quality. It screams top of the line. It screams top of the line tobacco fragrances if you really want the best tobacco out there. Not a safe fragrance overall. I don't think it should be at this price tag. You need something a bit more challenging here. This is for a fragrance connoisseur. This is a masterpiece. This is one of the best tobacco fragrances I've ever smelled. This smells extremely realistic. If you want to get as close as possible to wearing the scent of a real cigar, I never smoked a cigar in my life, but when I have this on, it feels like I'm smoking a cigar. This is Amouage Royal Tobacco. It is super photorealistic. In the opening, you get this fruity, sweet, thick spiciness that smells extremely expensive. It always smells Middle Eastern throughout the entire fragrance. I'm sure they've used some of the most expensive materials and resins that a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances have, especially Amouage. They probably use opoponax, myrrh, frankincense in here, probably a little bit of real oud, but definitely tobacco is the main star of the show. If you want that tobacco to be standing out, to be the main attention grabber in the fragrance blend, this is it. This smells like the top and the dry down all kind of go revolving around that photorealistic cigar tobacco note. Probably using an extremely high quality, probably the top best quality tobacco absolute in this fragrance. That just smells a little bit warm, a little bit animalic, musky, hay-like, ambery, a little bit boozy. Really good tobacco absolutes have these different facets within them. And this fragrance absolutely has that. This is so multifaceted. This is a fragrance you'll never get bored of, definitely for you niche snobs out there. In the mid, the tobacco definitely is the main star of the show. You're gonna get the very high quality, natural here. And in the dry down, this has a tobacco still lingering there, but then focuses more on the ambers, the sweet, the sexy aspects of the fragrance. This is a very multifaceted, full story of a fragrance, very dynamic and extremely natural. Yes, this is extremely expensive, but I think if you're gonna pay that kind of price tag, you want a fragrance that is the same quality as Royal Tobacco. I think it's absolutely worth the price. Over 12 hours longevity of the medium to loud projection fragrance, more for the mature, confident man who wants something spectacular. This is a standout fragrance. I give this a 10 out of 10, even at its really high price tag. That concludes this video, guys. I really hope you do check out our upcoming release, Mr. Mesmeric, if you haven't already. What do you think of the note of tobacco? It is loved for a good reason, in my opinion. I love this note also. It's multifaceted. Hopefully, we covered also a variety of different styles of tobacco fragrances also. Which other tobacco-based scents do you think we should have covered here in today's video? Do you agree or disagree with my opinions shared here today as well about these fragrances? Let us know in the comments down below, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my previous video on the highest rated fragrances for each note up here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.